Assalamu alaikum. Hello everyone. I would like to introduce our immigration consultant, Maira. Maira is not just a normal immigration consultant. Maira is a teacher. She's teaching immigration consultant how to be immigration consultant. So we have here a professional and expert immigration consultant. Maira, how are you?
Good, thank you. Thank you for your nice introduction. Hello, everyone. It's good that we see each other like face to face because we've been exchanging emails. You hadn't, put a face to the name, so I'll be the one responsible for exchanging correspondence with you and giving you further instructions on how to proceed with your study application.
Mira, actually, I would like to thank you for this opportunity. It's a great opportunity that we are learning from an expert immigration consultant. I know you have a very limited schedule and you are sacrificing your time for us, so it's really highly appreciated. Thank you, and now I will leave you to lead the session to start your presentation.
Right, perfect. All right, everyone. So I thought it would be a great idea for us to have this session because I noticed that most of you applicants they have asked a lot of questions, and I noticed that the questions are very, very similar. We've been assessing the documents that you have provided, and we came across a few points that sort of like repeat itself. So the best way to move forward with this and to sort of like streamline the process and get those applications out as soon as possible is to do a video. Because the whole idea of the video that, me and Ahmad, we talked about it, was that we can provide instructions in a very comprehensive way to everyone at the same time. So nonetheless, if you, after watching this video, if you still have more questions, I will encourage you to, take notes of your inquiries. We will most likely have a Q&A session right after this one, and I can, most likely answer all of your questions by then. So for now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to refer back to IMAD's initial document checklist, and I'll be explaining point by point exactly what we need from you. And then you will receive an email from IMAD specifying what needs to be done moving forward. So, for example, maybe the picture that you have provided isn't according to the specifications of IRCC. So this needs to be changed, right? So IMAD will let you know exactly what needs to be changed so that we can streamline these applications as soon as possible. So I'm going to use, since I'm an instructor, and this is what I usually use with my students, I'll be using a PowerPoint presentation to make it easier for you and visually accessible. All right? So just one second, I'll be sharing the screen. Okay. And I'm going to encourage Dr. Imad to ask any questions throughout the process, anything that you might consider to be convenient. Thinking from the mindset of the students, and I would like to apologize for not speaking Arab. I wish I could speak Arab, so it would make things much easier. But then we have here our translator, our official translator. He'll be able to explain to you in more detail. Okay?
Okay.
So let's get started. So the document checklist, these are the mandatory documents according to the initial document checklist provided by Dr. Imet. So I'm just going to go over it very quickly initially, and then I'll explain each one of them, okay? So the letter of acceptance, also known as LOA, or conditional LOA, okay? I will explain the difference between simply an LOA and a conditional LOA. The receipt to prove payment to the college that you have paid for tuition, partially or in full. Proof of identity, copy of the passport biodata page. 2 recent official photos according to specification. I'm going to explain the specifications of the photo because it's going to be a digital photo. Copy of certificate, secondary school diploma, bachelor's upon availability, obviously. copy of transcripts for secondary school, diploma, bachelor's upon availability. Your resume obviously needs to be in English because it provides us with an idea of your professional background. By looking at your resume and your statement of purpose, we're going to be able to see if it makes sense, like the program that you have chosen. Does it fit exactly? Is it suitable? If not, then we can make changes to your SOP. An employment letter, because if you're currently employed back home, we need your employer to provide us with a letter saying when you started working there, how much is your salary, what is going to happen to your employment contract when you come to Canada. Are they going to put the employment contract on hold? Are you going to be re-employed, or are they going to reinstate your position in the company once you go back? Right? Because what we want to show immigration officers is that you will come to Canada for the program and then you will eventually go back to your home country, right? And having an employment letter and having your employer vouch for you in that sense is extremely beneficial to your application. A copy of financial proof, bank statements for you or the person that will support you, your sponsor. And I would say that this is one of the most important documents, okay? We're talking about bank statements. Bank statements cannot be outdated. So I would suggest that don't look for bank statements right now. Work on all of the other documents and leave the bank statements as the last document to be provided, okay? Just let us know, roughly speaking, how much of funds you have available to bring to Canada. The reason why I don't want you guys to provide bank statements is because we are going to be working with those applications. It might take 1 week, 2 weeks. So we want those bank statements to be up to date. So we don't want to run the chance of, asking for a bank statement right now and then having to ask for another bank statement later on. Okay?
I want to ask here,
Sure.
the bank statement to be new, like not outdated. Like, what is the date before 1 week, 2 weeks? When we can say it is old?
Bank statements should be as recent as possible. So, for example, I usually advise my clients to provide me bank statements just like 1 week before the submission of the application.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay.
Because they are fresh from the open.
Mm.
Because if we get a bank statement that was issued a month ago, this might raise some red flags because they'll say, well, you could have had the money deposit to your bank account and then withdraw the money. How do we know precisely that at this moment, when you submitted the application, the money is in your bank account?
Okay. One more question. The duration of the bank statement. Okay.
I will.
It's less than a week, but how long?
How long back?
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Okay. I will explain this. I just don't want to go much into the bank statements. I'm just giving you an outline first. Problem. But there will be one of the slides where I'll be specifying what type of bank statements, what is the information that needs to be included in your bank statement in order for it to be efficient and suitable for immigration purposes.
Yeah, no problem. Go ahead.
So a letter or declaration of your spouse or your sponsor, preferably notarized, explaining that they will support you during your studies in Canada. So, for example, if someone is going to pay for your studies here, your employer, because I think I had a question about this from one of you. Somebody asked me, okay, so my employer is vouching for me. He's going to be the one paying for my expenses, paying for my program in Canada. How do we prove this? So we have to come up with this declaration, and it needs to be a formal declaration. And I have provided a template, which is in the Google Drive folder available to you, which is a declaration of your sponsor. Basically, all you have to do is just copy, paste, and input your information, the information of your sponsor, get your sponsor to sign it, and we need the letter, and the letter needs to come along with the bank statement.
Hmm.
Obviously, not a bank statement from you, but a bank statement from your sponsor.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say your sponsor is your employer. So your employer needs to show that they have this amount of money in their bank account that will be used for your studies here in Canada. Okay, it has to be something that makes sense. Again, why would your employer be vouching for you and sponsoring you financially if you're not going to be reinstated? So it's extremely important if, let's say, your sponsor is your employer, to let immigration officers know that once you finish your program here, your employer back home is going to give you his job, your job back. You're going to be reinstated as an employee. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, so it's gonna be like a strong evidence that the student is going home after finishing the study, because the
Exactly.
employer is paying, so the employer is waiting for him to get back to complete the work for him.
Exactly. Precisely. So it would be even better if there's like a contract between the applicant and the employer saying that the employer has the obligation
Hmm. Yeah,
of returning back home because he needs to pay his due to his employers.
yeah,
Okay, the employer is being a sponsor. So the least you could do is go back and reinstate your job, because you're not going to be financing someone who's never going to go back. It doesn't make any sense, right? So
exactly.
this needs to be included in the letter of your sponsor. He needs to say specifically that they are expecting you to go back and reinstate your job so that you can apply everything that you have learned in Canada in your old position. Is this going to be extremely positive for the company? All right.
Yes.
So proof of having a business in your country or any country in the world. Proof if you have any property in your country or any country in the world. Statement of purpose, SOP, or study plan. And I have prepared a comprehensive guideline, which is also in the Google Drive folder. I think Dr. Imad has given you guys access to it. It has like 8 pages, and it has 2 templates. You can choose one of the 2 templates so that you can fill out with your own information. The statement of purpose, you're going to be explaining why you're going to be pursuing this program, and how does the program that you have chosen ties in with everything that you've done so far, your professional background, your educational background. So you have to explain a little bit what you did in the past, what you are doing right now, what you intend to do in Canada, and how this is going to benefit your life in the future when you go back. Okay, so don't forget, extremely important to mention that you will go back. Okay,
Yeah.
because they want to make sure, again, that you're not going to be staying here.
Sorry. Uh, People ask me why not the immigration consultant writes the SOP for us. What you can say about this?
Okay, the thing is, when we write, we don't know much about your life.
Hmm.
Who's better than explaining your life than yourself,
Yeah,
right?
but their communication skills not that good, so they don't know how to express themselves. They need somebody to maybe to rewrite it or something like that. Especially they are not that strong in English.
Okay, I see. Um, it's actually a good thing when the SOP is not perfect, because if I write the SOP on your behalf, it's going to be inconsistent with your English.
We can say it's gonna be too good to be true.
Too good to be true, exactly. First of all, I know a little bit about your life. I can take a look at your resume. I can take a look at your declaration, but I don't know about your encouragements. What triggered you to choose Canada over the United States or Australia? Because there's so many countries that you could have gone to. Why Canada? Why this college? Why this program? Why now? I don't even know anything about your personal life, because all of those tiny stories, like, oh, I've done this in the past in my family, and this is going to be positive for my family too, and experience abroad, and those things, they need to come from you. So if your English is not too good, that's not bad. That's actually good because when they look at it and they go like, okay, this sounds genuine. The person is going to Canada to learn English. Obviously, they need ESL. I can take a look at the ESOP and I can say that they need ESL. And by the way, when we get your statement of purpose or your study plan, we're not going to be submitting the study plan as is. I'll be editing the study plan accordingly. I'll be changing, I'll be modifying. So it's not going to be like a final draft. What I'm asking from you guys is to draft a statement of purpose to the best of your abilities, right? So it's like a self-declaration. I want to know from you, why do you want to come here? Why
Okay.
have you chosen
I
Canada?
have a question here. Now, when you submit the study permit for anybody, the officer knows that you are an immigration consultant and you are submitting on behalf of the student. So why they don't expect that you have written the SOP if they find the language is like professional way? Is it allowed for the immigration consultant to write the SOP on behalf
No,
of the student?
no, because we know the rules of the game.
Okay.
When we write the statement of purpose, we write what they want to hear,
Yeah.
right? So when we write what they want to hear, they'll go like, this is not legit. This is not genuine.
Mm.
I want to hear from the applicant. I want to hear from himself. What's his story of life, right? How many kids do they have? Do they forecast? Can they anticipate any major roadblocks if they go to Canada? So the more genuine the
Mm.
statement of purpose, the better it will be for the applicant. What I can do, I can edit your statement of purpose, and this is what I usually do. When I read the statement of purpose and there's something that I think it's going to be detrimental to your application, I remove it.
Yeah.
I change the wording. So I've seen statement of purposes where applicants said, "Oh, I'm going to Canada because I love the country. Um, I need the skills for my career back home. However, another factor that encouraged me to choose Canada over the United States is that all of my family members are living in Canada."
This
That's
is
a no.
negative. Oh, yeah.
That's a no. Why? Because it's going to show that you have stronger ties in Canada other than the ties that you have back home. Most likely, you're not going to go back. So, what do? I have to remove that section of your study plan because that's going to come out as a red flag. Now, I don't want them to see it as a red flag. So, what we do, we edit the statement of purpose, but it has to be legit. It has to be genuine. It has to be from you, enough from you.
Okay.
But either way, I gave you a template. The template is like a skeleton, okay? And the questions that need to be answered. So you can use my template. You can fill my template with your personal information. I'll look at it. I'll make changes accordingly. I'll perfect it in a way that it's going to make sense to the immigration officer. And at the same time, it's not going to show like it's not genuine, that I'm fabricating something on your behalf. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can they
Next.
have a copy of it after you edit?
Sure, they
Okay.
can.
Okay. That's good.
And by the way, if they feel more comfortable, if the English is really, really insufficient for them to write the statement of purpose, I would strongly suggest write it in your own language. Write it in Arab
Mm-hmm.
and translate it. Get a certified translator to translate it.
Yeah. That could be a good
Okay, so
solution.
it's
Yeah.
not going to be too expensive because I'm not asking for a statement of purpose that will have like 5 pages. Statement of purpose should have 2 pages, 3 tops, but not more than 3 pages.
Yeah.
So you can get someone to translate. It's going to be genuine. It's going to be from you. And they actually like it. When they see something that it's in Japanese, it's in Arab, in any other language, they can feel that, okay, this person really took the time to write it. Okay? If you have family members who are going to be accompanying you in Canada, you have to provide a copy of the marriage certificate for your spouse and copies of passports of your family members who are coming to Canada with you. All of them, all of your kids. Okay, so the same thing that applies to you will apply to your family members. So let's get started with the first one. The LOA or conditional LOA. What is the difference between LOA and conditional LOA? The LOA, your school must send a letter of acceptance, and this is for the main program. This is for the post-secondary program at NAB College. Conditional LOA is for the ESL program that you're going to take before you start the program itself. So this is for the prerequisite course, ESL. If you've been conditionally accepted, this means you need to take prerequisite courses. For example, this might be English as a second language. You must complete this before you can start your main study program. In this case, IRCC will only issue your study permit for the length of those courses plus 1 year. Once you're accepted into the main program, you need to apply for a new study permit to extend your stay as a student. So my question is, if your ESL program is less than 6 months, then we can apply for a visitor visa just for the ESL. And once you complete the ESL, we can apply for the study permit from inside Canada. If the ESL program is more than 6 months, then we're going to apply for a study permit for the ESL, and once you complete the ESL, we're going to apply for another study permit for the main program. There are a few things that you have to be mindful of. When we're talking about prerequisite courses like ESL, it doesn't give you the opportunity to work. So you cannot work 20 hours part-time. You can only start working part-time when you start the program, the post-secondary program itself. Another thing to be mindful of, when you're taking ESL, your spouse cannot work either. Your kids can go to school though, but your spouse cannot work.
So during the English language, the spouse cannot have a work permit. How
No.
about the student? Can the student have a work permit?
They
No.
can't.
Okay.
So the thing is, if you have enough financial resources, so let's say your ESL program is going to be for 6 months, right? If you have enough financial resources to provide for yourself and for your family without having to work for 6 months, by all means, you can come here and bring your family. Because I think one of the main questions that students have is, should I bring my family or should I not bring my family?
Yeah.
And I think the crucial point is for ESL, and that's just me, my suggestion is for ESL, because your wife is not going to be able to work. Your kids can go to school though. If you can, it's best to leave them back home, and then we can apply for the study permit and, for the work permit for your wife once you start the program. It's easier.
So because people are asking, let's advise them. If she's a woman and she has young kids and she must bring them, is okay, but maybe it's better to apply for her husband after finishing the English.
Yes.
Because
exactly.
if he comes with her right now, he can't work during the time of studying English.
Exactly. Except, and there are obviously exceptions, except if the family is really wealthy, like you have a lot of financial resources, and you can prove to IRCC that there's no need for you to work. Because you have more than enough to provide for yourself and for your family for that specific time frame without having to work. But in other cases, when your money is limited and you're like borderline, they're asking for $10,000 and you only have 10,000, or you barely have the minimum, it's best to not bring your family members at the beginning, at least for this time frame that you're going to be taking ESL.
Okay.
The application is going to go much more smooth, and immigration officers are going to be much more willing to accept the application because that makes sense, right? It makes sense. and then we can transition from one to another, and then you can bring your your kids and your spouse at a later date. You can change your mind. You know, they have absolutely nothing against you changing your mind. So at the
Okay,
beginning, you can say, well, for
I
the
have a
ESL,
question here, if you don't mind. Suppose
yes,
somebody applies for himself only, and after getting the visa on the passport, before leaving their country, they apply for the spouse. Is it possible?
yes, yeah, it's possible. They change their mind.
Okay.
Okay, but we have to explain. We have to explain. Well, something happened, right? I changed my mind. I have kids, and now I feel like I can't stay away from my kids. We have to explain.
Okay.
Okay. So what I want to emphasize is that most of you, I'd say, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dr. Imad, but I think 80 to 90% of the applicants, they have a conditional LOA. They don't have the LOA
All
per
of them.
se.
All of them.
All of them.
Yeah.
All of them, because all of them have to take ESL.
Exactly.
Um, so I think the best move is let's apply for a study permit with a conditional LOA.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you complete the ESL, then we apply for the definite study permit and for the open work permit for your spouse and kids. So then your spouse can come, she can start working, she or he can start working. Your kids can go to school. You don't have all the hassle of that initial months of having everyone here adapting and not having enough financial resources to provide. But if you do, and if you choose to do so, if you don't have any other options, like Dr. Ahmed said, if you have kids, they're young, then we can work around that. Okay, I can explain on my submission letter that despite the fact that the spouse is not going to be able to work because of the kids, it is impossible to leave the kids back home. Okay?
Okay. Regarding this, I remember you mentioned in your email that you are confused about who is going with family, who's not. So let's ask all of them if they are going with family, what they have to tell you, how they have to tell you, I'm coming with my family. What exactly they have to do.
Okay, what you can do, and I'm going to encourage, and this is for all sorts of communication because I want to standardize the form of communication with all the applicants. I would suggest if you create a README file on your Google Drive folder,
Mm-hmm.
and in your Google Drive folder, you just write, I'm bringing my family, right? Just write sort of like a one-page declaration, bringing my family and my kids, and the number of kids.
Okay.
Okay, so that I know when I look at your individual files, I know if you're going to be including family or not.
Okay, that's good.
Does that sound
Yeah.
reasonable?
Yeah.
Because if I get emails, I'm going to be bombarded with like emails from different sources. It's going to be complicated for me to organize this. Use your Google Drive folder to communicate with us. Create a README file and put a declaration there. I am me, myself, the applicant. I'll be bringing to Canada my spouse and my 3 kids and my 4 kids. Then I will know how to proceed with your specific application. Got it?
Okay.
All right. So conditional LOA, proof of tuition payment, proof that you pay tuition in full or partially, and housing fees if applicable. I don't know if NAB Colleges provides any housing options for students. They don't, right?
No.
Okay, so housing fees are not applicable in this case. That includes any receipts provided to you by NAB College or proof of money transfers to the college. Okay, one or the other. Okay. When applying for your study permit, you and each family member who comes with you to Canada must have a valid passport or travel document. If you're approved, we must send IRCC your original passport. Why? Because you're going to put a counterfoil, which is going to be like your visitor visa, right? So that you can come to Canada. Provide a copy of the biodata page for you and each family member who comes with you to Canada. The biodata page is the page with your name, date of birth, passport number, and expiration date. Okay, is there any questions about biodata page?
No, that's clear.
Also, provide a copy of every page of your passport that has stamps, visas, or markings from any country. Most visa offices require copies of your current passport and all expired passports that you have held. Why is this important? Because we want to show them that you have travel history.
Mm.
If-
Yeah.
If you have travel history, it means that you have complied with immigration rules for other countries. You travel, you went to the United States, you went to Australia, you went to New Zealand, and you stayed there and then you went back to your home country. You didn't overstay. So this is a good sign. Having an extensive travel history is not bad. It's actually very, very good. It is a bad sign when you don't have any travel stamps because you go like, okay, this person has never traveled. Chances are they're going to come to Canada. They're going to believe this country is like the best country in the world, and they will most likely want to stay here. Okay? I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that if you have old passports that have travel stamps for other countries that you've been, I want to use that as documentary evidence to show that you will go back.
Yeah.
You're not going to stay. Okay? Next. Proof of identity, and that is the passport. Important, your study permit will not be issued past your passport's expiry. If you do not have a passport, apply immediately. If your passport will expire soon, extend it before you apply for your study permit. Okay? Don't send the passport that is about to expire. Okay, because this is going to be a hassle. They're going to issue the study permit for the validity of your passport. So if your passport is valid for only 2 months, then your study permit is going to be for just 2 months. And we don't want that. Okay. If this is not an option or passport processing time is too long, apply for a study permit with your current passport. After you arrive in Canada, you'll be able to extend your passport and study permit from within Canada. A bit more complicated because then you're going to have to go to the embassy, the consulate for your home country here in Canada and apply for your passport. It's not impossible. I'm just saying that if you can, I'd rather have you guys applying immediately and renewing your passport before we submit the application for the study permit.
Yes.
Okay, so photos. I've noticed that some of the photos, most of them are not according to the specifications. So this is a big problem. So one might think, well, but it's just a photo. It's like a 2 millimeter difference. But you guys don't understand how Canadian authorities are. They're super picky about this. I've had applications returned and refused because it was like 2 millimeters smaller than the specification. Okay, we don't want to run the chances of submitting an application and have the application returned and refunded because of 2 millimeters. It's not me. I'm not being picky. I'm just saying how immigration authorities assess your application. So I want to make sure that the frame size, the quality and resolution, the file format, everything is perfect. Okay. So in terms of frame size, the final frame size of the photo must be at least 35 millimeters per 45 millimeters. The photograph must show a full front view of the head and tops of shoulders with face in the middle of the photograph. It has to be straight. It cannot be like looking and stuff like that, looking to the sides. The size of the head from chin to crown must be between 31 millimeters and 36 millimeters. Very specific, I know. Digital dimensions are often expressed in pixels or DPIs. The physical dimension in pixels must be at least 420 by 540. If you're not computer savvy, you can get someone back home, like a photographer, to take a digital photo and give them these specifications and make sure that they follow this. Okay? So quality and resolution is also important. If an existing photo is being scanned, the minimum resolution must be 600 pixels per inch. Okay? Let's say you have a physical photo, you want to use it, you want to scan it. Sometimes I get bad quality photos. I just cannot send them because they're not good quality or resolution. Okay. The file format should be JPEG. The final size of the image should be ideally 204 kilobytes, but not less than 60 KB. The image must be in color, which is the common output for most digital cameras. Okay, black and white, not advisable, not a good idea. And here is an example. Put this to the bottom. So you take a look here at her face, 31 millimeters, chin to the crown, 36 altogether. The background should be white, okay? Should not be wearing glasses, smiling, making signs or anything. I know this is counterintuitive, but sorry, I have to make those remarks. The requirement to photograph must comply with specifications. If the photographs do not meet specifications, you will have to provide new photographs before your application can be processed. The photographs must be identical and taken within the last 6 months. They may be either black.
How they know if it was taken less than 6 months?
They don't know, because digital photographs, they don't know. This is the
hard copy. It has to be stamped from the back.
Yeah,
but as a soft copy, they don't know. So my advice to everyone to go to a studio and tell them about these specifications. Now all of the studios, they have digital cameras, so they can take a photo and they can give you a soft copy, and that's it.
Exactly. Okay, and photographs must be clear, well defined, and taken against a plain white like color background. The photographs must not be altered in any way. Okay, your face must be square to the camera with a neutral expression, either frowning or smiling, or with the mouth open or closed. You may wear non-tinted prescription glasses as long as your eyes are clearly visible. Make sure that the frames does not cover any part of your eyes. Sunglasses are not acceptable. Hairpiece or other cosmetic accessories, it is acceptable if it does not disguise your normal appearance. If you must wear head covering for religious reason, make sure your full facial features are not obscured. Okay, so how do you call that thing?
The chin must be not covered. It has to cover the hair, but maybe the neck, but not the chin.
Oh, not the chin. Yeah. But how do you call that? The headpiece.
Hijab.
Hijab.
Yes.
Okay. Hijabs are okay as long as your face is visible. Okay.
Yeah.
I have some clients for certain countries, and I've seen pictures like that from Iran, and where they wear the hijab as long as the face is clear, no problem. Okay, so we have educational and employment-related documents, copy of certificates, and I think I discussed this before, a copy of transcripts, so I'm not going to go into this, your resume in English, a letter from your current employer explaining your current position with the company, as well as what will happen with your employment contract when you come to Canada for your studies. So if the employment contract is going to be put on hold, are they going to cease the employment contract and then they're going to reinstate you when you come back? They have to specify this.
Yeah.
Letter of employment must include current position, years of service, and salary. Why is this important? The longer you are with a company, the higher the salary, the more stability you have, the more chances that you will go back. Okay?
Yes.
If you've been with a company for like 2 weeks, and your salary is not too high, they'll think, well, there you go. That's why the guy wants to come to Canada, because he's running away from the situation back home, which is not advisable, okay? But, okay, so let's say someone is in this position. I have an employer. I was hired like 2 weeks ago. Is this going to be detrimental? It's not going to be detrimental, but we have to compensate with something else.
Yeah.
Right? So what I tell my students and my clients is that when you have a weak application at one point, we need to compensate with something else. Yes. So money talks. Remember, money talks? Even if you don't have a lot of stability on your employment contract, if you have a lot of money that maybe outweigh that will outweigh the fact that you've just um, been hired by a company and your salary is not going too well. So I like to play around and move pieces. So I show some information and hide some. Um, I go, and this has to be done individually. This is on a case to case basis. That's why I need all those documents from you. Okay, next, proof of financial support, and this is crucial. And forgive me the expression, but without this,
That's the
application
most
will
important, yeah.
the most important one. So it's imperative to show a strong proof of financial support that you and your sponsors have, such as family members or organizations supporting. Most Canadian immigration officers interpret evidence of sufficient funds to mean 4 months of bank statement.
Mm-hmm.
So your bank statements should be dated 4 months back, if you can. That's ideal, okay? What if somebody put the money in your accounts, money has been put in your account 60 days ago, two months ago? Can we work with that? Yeah, okay, 2 months is fine. Can we work with 3 months? Yeah, we can. Can we work with a bank statement that only shows the balance? No, because they want to know at least 30 months before. Because it's going to be a huge red flag if there's a deposit to your account 30 days ago. That's too recent. So they will interpret this as this money is not yours. This money is coming from another person, someone that is helping you out. Okay? They want to know the source of this money. So savings account, passbooks, bank drafts, or other proof that indicates that you have sufficient funds to cover the cost of 1 year in Canada, equivalent to your first year of tuition fees, as indicated on your letter of acceptance. I don't know how much is tuition, okay, but you need to show that and a minimum $10,000 for your first year of living expenses, plus $4,000 for an accompanying family member and $3,000 per additional member. This is how you calculate. And this is another question that I get asked a lot. Applicants don't know how to calculate. They don't know how much money they need to prove. So this is an example. If you and two family members want to come to a province outside Quebec for a year, how much will you need? Living expenses for the student will be $10,000 for 1 year. Living expenses for the spouse, $4,000. And let's say they have a kid, $3,000. So total, 17. Are we good?
I think this is the minimum of the minimum. Like 10,000 for a year, I think is not enough.
We're not even talking about tuition, okay? This is aside from tuition.
We are talking about tuition, the rent, and the living expenses. I don't know if 10,000, like less than 1,000 per month, right?
This information is from IRCC's official website.
I saw it, but
the more
is better. Yes, of course.
The more the merrier.
Yeah.
So, for example, if somebody says, "Well, I have 50K," great, you can work with 50K. But I want you guys to understand what is the minimum. This is the minimum.
Yeah,
this is like minimum. You can barely survive on $10,000 because that's less than $1,000 per month. Like honestly, can somebody live in Toronto for less than $1,000 per month? The answer is no. But immigration officers will work with that, and they'll go like, okay, you can rent a place, you can stay here. That's minimum. We can work with that. But less than this, impossible. Okay. Next, Your bank statements from from the Canadian bank, if you have a Canadian bank. Some of you may have a Canadian bank. Who knows? If you have a Canadian bank account in your name, and if you have transferred money to Canada or from an overseas bank with a stamp. So it needs to have like a bank statement with a stamp. Bank statements of your parents, if they are sponsoring you, the sponsor from a Canadian or overseas bank. Letter or declaration of your sponsor, preferably notarized, explaining that they will support you during your studies in Canada. Proof you pay tuition and housing fees. Proof of employment for yourself, your parents, if they are sponsoring you, your sponsor. Proof of business ownership, income for your parents, if they are sponsoring you, or the sponsor himself. Proof of ownership of properties for yourself, your parents, and your sponsor, if your parents are sponsoring you. Proof of any other type of income, stocks, dividends for yourself, your parents, and your sponsor.
Yes.
Questions here?
No.
No?
I have a question crossed my mind now, not related to this, but maybe I will forget it. If somebody is studying here during the English, after the English, doesn't matter. Let's say during the English, okay?
Okay.
And they have an employer, so they are still employed. And
they are working remotely.
And they are working remotely. And they are receiving salary. Is there any problem for them?
Absolutely not. That's actually very good.
Okay.
That's a positive thing. But there is a requirement for situations like that. You need to have the contract, the employment contract, saying that you're going to be working remotely and that your employer back home is okay with that. You're going to be receiving your income from back home. They're going to be depositing the money, in your bank account in Dubai.
Somebody asked me this question. He said his main office, the company main office, is in Canada. He is working there, but the main office here, and when he comes here, he will continue working, and his salary will be deposited to his bank from within Canada.
I understand, but let me ask you a question. I'm going to ask this applicant the same question. Is he reporting to the Canadian branch or to the company outside of Canada?
No, outside of Canada.
So there's no relationship with the Canadian branch whatsoever.
Okay.
As long as there's no relationship with the Canadian branch, technically speaking, his employment is with the company back home. It doesn't matter if they have a branch in Canada or not.
Okay.
It's going to be problematic if he's reporting to someone in the branch of that company here in Canada. And if the money is being deposited from the branch in Canada, because in that sense, he's entering the labor market and he's working. And he's not supposed to be working full time.
Okay.
All right? He's entering the labor market. Sometimes he's working like 8 hours. So he's taking the opportunity of somebody else from Canada. He needs to apply for an LMIA, and that's another story. So I'm not going to go into this. As long as the money is being deposited from the company back home, right? It doesn't matter if it's in his bank account there or his bank account here in Canada, but he's rendering services to that company. He's reporting to that company. He's good to go. It's fine.
Yeah. So if somebody working remotely during the studying and they are working more than 20 hours a week, but not in any Canadian company, is that okay? Like they are working remotely with their company in their country?
There's nothing in the provision that precludes that because you're rendering services to a foreign enterprise. However, it sounds inconsistent. It might come as a red flag. Okay, so if you have a contract that says you're going to be working remotely full time, that's not good. It should say part time.
Okay.
Because okay, think from the perspective of the officer, the visa officer. They'll say, well, if you're going to be working full time, how are you going to devote to your studies in Canada? You're not going to have time to study.
No, no, that's not my question. Suppose they already get the visa and they are here in Canada already. Then, if they are receiving money to show that they are working full time, like they are receiving money on their bank account, which is maybe more than 5,000, 6,000 a month, 10,000 a month. This can put them in any trouble?
No, as long as the services being rendered are for a foreign enterprise.
Yes, that's it. And they have to pay tax for this money, right?
So the taxes are collected from the source. Where is the source of income? Outside Canada. So they are being taxed in their home country. So let's say someone from Iraq, right? So when they send the money from a company in Iraq to Canada, they're gonna file taxes there, like their personal taxes. Taxes are being collected nationally. Therefore, this doesn't interfere with the money being, transferred to Canada.
Okay.
So you always ask yourself, where is the source of that income? The source is, let's say, Brazil. Mm-hmm. So the financial authority to collect applicable taxes is the Brazilian authority. You cannot be taxed twice.
Yes.
You cannot have tax collected twice in your home country and in Canada.
Okay.
It's either there or here because Canada has international agreements with every single country. And this is a prohibition, an international prohibition. They cannot touch there, and then you have to collect taxes here.
Yes.
It's either there or here.
Yeah, that's reasonable. Okay.
Okay, so proof of ownership of properties. If you have cars, if you have boats, if you have stocks, any other income, that's awesome. That's great. However, please pay attention. When remember that when we were calculating the funds, the funds that need to be available, those 17K that we calculated in the previous slide, they need to be available, liquid money, and unencumbered of any debts. They need to be in your bank account.
Yeah.
Okay? This cannot be used. This is an add-on. This is an additional proof of financial support. But this cannot be used solely to prove funds. Because let's say you have zero in your bank account, but then you say, "Oh, I have houses, I have cars, and houses." Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
These things, maybe we can use them as an evidence of attached to the home country, not as an income or as a money or something like that.
Exactly. We can use this as evidence as ties, because you do have ties to your home country, but it's an additional proof of financial support, but not the main one. The main financial support, the main financial resources that you have need to be liquid and unencumbered of debts.
Yeah. Okay.
Transferable money. Okay?
Yes.
Well, I don't have anything in my bank account, then that's going to be a problem. Well, but I have a lot of properties. No, because it needs to be liquid money. That's what they look for. They call it liquid money.
Exactly.
Because it's easily transferable. Please note that bank statements should ideally be for the past 4 months. Again, minimum 30 days to 4 months. Okay? You don't have to go back 6 months. Too much.
Okay.
The amount shown in the bank draft needs to be converted to Canadian dollars. If the balance in any other documentation above is in foreign currency, provide screenshot of the Bank of Canada currency converter. You can click here, and it will take you to the web page of the Canada currency converter. And I want you to take a screenshot or print that page, because I want to show that the amount of money that you have. What is the currency in, let's say, Iraq?
And Jordan, for example.
In Jordan, what is the
Dinar.
currency there?
JOD. Jordan dinar.
Okay, so the currency there, immigration officers, they don't know. So we have to show them, this is how much you have in Jordan currency, and this is the equivalent in Canadian currency.
Okay.
So what, right? So you just click here, put the amount of money, print the page, and send it to me, okay? Along with your bank statement. If the proof of funds is from another person's bank account, such as a parent or family member who's sponsoring you, they must provide proof of where their funding is coming from. That's an obvious thing, like your sponsor, where's the money coming from? Where is the money? Is it like in a savings account? So in your Google Drive folder, you will have a couple of templates that are made available for you. This is a summary of proof of funds. It gives you a lot of examples of types of funds that you can submit. Financial support template. This is for people that are being financially supported by a third party, like an employer, a parent, or anyone else. Maybe a brother is paying for your expenses here. There's another template, calculating proof of funds, and it explains exactly how to calculate, okay? And there's a declaration of financial support template that can be easily notarized. I don't know how, because different countries have different rules for notarization of documents. So unfortunately, this is something that you guys are going to have to inquire back home, because I have no idea how it is in different countries. I know how to notarize documents here, but back home in your home country, you're going to have to find someone to do that with, okay? You can show that you have family to go back. Oh, now we're talking about proof of ties to home country. Yeah. Also very, very important.
Yes.
So they want to know that you're going to go back, that you're not going to stay. So you can show that you have family to go back to, or a job that will be resuming upon your return. What if you don't have either? What if you decide to bring your family along with you? Is that going to be a problem? Not really. We can compensate with other documents. There are many small but relevant things that are part of our lives that tie us to our home country. Do you own a home or a lease? If yes, then your lease or mortgage agreements can display your ties to your home country. Obviously, if you're paying the mortgage, you're going to have to go back to pay the mortgage, right? Even things like future job offers, financial assets such as bank accounts, stocks, and bonds can help you demonstrate your intent to go back. In order to make a strong application, it's important to provide a combination of these documents. Other examples include proof of having a business in your country or in any other country in the world, in which case I will need the business license and the articles of incorporation showing that you're one of the shareholders, the owner of the company. You don't necessarily have to be like the only owner. You might be like one of the shareholders, but this is good. This is good. If you have a business, you're running a business, this is awesome. Proof that you have any property in your country or any country in the world. Okay, so houses, apartments, and so on. This also proves ties to home country, history of compliant travel. While not a strictly tie, a travel history of visiting other countries and returning home, particularly if it's easy enough to verify compliance with entry conditions, typically that you left before the period of approved stay ended. So that's why I need the passport stamps, because with the passport stamps, I will show that, well, you went to, you went to Syria, but then he came back to his home country. You went to another country there, went to the Philippines, and then he came back. Yeah, having a lot of family in your country and not in Canada can help, as most of your social ties would be in your country, not in Canada. However, without a legal or strong moral obligation to provide financial support, family contact can easily be maintained, especially nowadays, right? I don't like when clients include information about their family members in Canada. I don't think that's a good idea, okay? If you have brothers, sisters, cousins that live here, it might not be a good idea for you to say, I have family members in Canada. Just don't mention that. because
Um,
then
I
they're
have
going
a
to wait.
question here. Uh,
Stronger ties to Canada or to home country? Stronger ties to Canada.
what if the sponsor lives in Canada?
Then it's fine. There's no way that we can run away from that because the sponsor, okay, let's say he has a brother. That's it. There's no way that we can bypass that.
Is there a
But if
difference? Is there a difference if the student comes to the same city or to the same province where his relative lives, or maybe if it's far, like the relative in Quebec and he's studying here in Toronto, so they are far, not living with each other.
it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if they are physically far from each other. The simple fact that you have a family member might be seen as, oh, they have someone to support them and to encourage them to stay.
Mm.
Chances are they might want to stay because when they have international students that have no ties whatsoever with Canada,
So
usually go back.
it's better to not mention that in the application.
If the family member is not a sponsor, don't mention. You
Don't
don't have
mention.
to.
Okay.
Just don't mention. Okay, it's not
Okay.
gonna help you. It's actually gonna be something that could be used against you.
Okay.
Okay, I know you want to be genuine and say, oh, but I'm gonna visit. No, don't say anything. This is yours, right? You don't have to say what you're gonna do. Age. The older you are, the more likely is that the relocation will be difficult and not desirable. Think of your grandparents if they're still alive. Will they want to move to another country at this point in their life? Young people, like most students, are more adaptable to change.
Mm.
I haven't checked the age of most applicants, but this is something that there's something we can do because some applicants are 40,
Yeah.
and it's fine. We can work around this. We can compensate. Maybe the guy is 40, but maybe he's wealthy. Great. Maybe he has a company back home. He's running a company remotely. Excellent. That's even better. He's a businessman. He's coming here to get the skills, to acquire the skills, to implement the skills back home. So the age is not going to be a major issue. The statement of purpose or study plan, please refer to the comprehensive guidelines on how to draft your SOP. We will modify it as necessary. Okay, so I talked about this. 7 or 8 pages. There are 2 templates. If you want to use my template to make it easier for you, use it, but the information has to come from you, not from me. Okay, I will edit them individually, one by one, and I will send you the final version so that you understand what we disclosed and what we, included or removed. Additional instructions. If your documents are not in English or French, they must be accompanied by the English or French official translation and an affidavit from the person who completed the translation. If translations don't have the affidavit, translations are no good. Okay? Some bank statements are outdated, as I mentioned before. New bank statements should be provided. Wait for our request before issuing new bank statements. This should be the last document to be provided. Okay? Because I want them to be recent as possible.
Yes.
Sponsored students have to provide a declaration for financial sponsor in a format that is in compliance with the laws of the relevant country they are residing. Notarization is required. Property documents and ownership documents of cars, etc., of yourselves or their sponsors must come along with a property evaluation, and there should be an estimate of the value in Canadian dollars. Okay, I don't know how much is the currency. How much is a car in Jordan? I don't know. How much is that in Canadian dollars?
Yeah.
Okay, is that a lot or a little? We don't know. Have to show them. Do not upload documents that are snapshots. They don't accept snapshots. Okay, they're not legible. They're not readable. So there's a way that you can convert snapshots into PDF. Okay, because if you, especially if you take them with your phone, okay, with your phone, with a camera, you might get a good quality picture. With a scanner, perfect. I want you guys to use the scanner if you have to. With the phone, quality is not good because, we see the borders, we see your feet, have to be cutting and pasting and adjusting and turning and twisting and converting to PDF. So that takes up a lot of time, okay? It's a little bit of a hassle, to be honest. Please leave a note on your Google Drive folder advising if you'll be applying alone or with family. Applications have to be prepared accordingly, like I mentioned before. If you decide to apply for family members altogether, additional fees for applications for dependents will apply because it's going to be one application. It's going to be one for your spouse, another for your kid. Okay, so we can discuss this later. Okay, Dr. Imad will let you guys know. For now, I want to know, are you bringing family members? Yes or no? And if you are, how many family members are you bringing with you?
Yes.
Okay. Biometrics. Who needs to provide biometrics? By applying for study permit from outside Canada, you will be required to submit your biometrics, fingerprints, and a photo in person at a biometric collection point outside of Canada. The time it takes to submit your biometrics is not included in the process time for your study permit, and your application will not be processed until biometrics are received by the visa office. You only need to give biometrics once every 10 years. If you have provided biometrics in the past 10 years before Canadian immigration authorities, you will be exempt from providing biometrics again. Please advise Learn Canada if you have done so. Maybe you have applied before for a visitor visa to Canada, and I don't know, or student visa, and you provided biometrics. You don't have to provide it again, okay? But we need to know, okay? We will pay the biometric fee, which is like $85 per person or $170 per family. It doesn't matter if it's 5, 2, more than 2 is always $170. At the same time, you submit, we submit your study permit application with faster processing. Then we receive your biometric instruction letter from IRCC and forward it to you. The letter will provide you with instructions as to which visa application center that you must go to get your biometrics collected. Check if the VAC requires an appointment or if you can walk in. Note, if you do not have a biometric collection point available in your home country, you may need to travel to another country to give biometrics. Sorry, this is how things are. Usually they have a VAC centers for 2 or 3 countries. So, for example, they don't have it in Iran. People in Iran, they need to go to Turkey because there's a VAC in Turkey.
I think they don't have in Syria, and they have to go to Lebanon.
Well, there you go. So it has to be like the closest visa application center. So you're going to have to travel there, provide biometrics, the fingerprints, the photo again, provide another photo. But we need to pay this in advance when we submit the application, okay? Yes. Any questions about biometrics?
No, it's good.
Okay. Medical examination. You're required a medical exam when applying for a study permit if you have lived in a designated country or territory for more than 6 months in the 12 months immediately before you apply. Okay, so I've checked the countries of all the applicants. The ones that come from Iraq, Sudan, Afghanistan, and Algeria, they have to go for medical examinations, okay? We will give you instructions on how to set up an appointment with a panel of physicians because it cannot be any doctor. It has to be an IRCC approved panel of physicians. We will give you the link so that you can go there and take your medical examination. If the above scenario applies to you, you will need a medical exam conducted by an IRCC-approved panel physician. The doctor will send the results directly and automatically to IRCC. Ask the doctor for a copy of your medical exam report, referred to as e-medical sheet. It has a barcode in it. I need this document. Without this document, I'm not going to be able to apply if you come from Iraq, Sudan, Afghanistan, or Algeria.
Okay.
You have two options. You can take an upfront medical exam before submitting your initial study permit application, then include your e-medical report in your application, and I personally recommend this option because it saves you time. The second option, you can apply for your study permit first and wait for the visa officer to send your medical exam request. This may delay the processing of your application. There's a huge, so COVID-19 has changed many things. There's a huge backlog of applications right now. Unfortunately, their timelines for processing is all over the place. If we send the study permit application without the medical examination, this is going to take forever because they receive the application, they assess the application, they give you a deadline of 60 days to go for the medical examination. So instead of, say, 3 months, 4 months for you to get the final results, this is going to take 6 months. Okay, it's going to take too long. Well, we can't afford to wait 6 months. Okay? And that's about it. So thank you for your attention. For further inquiries, use Google Drive. Don't send inquiries, please don't, because I want to standardize the methods where we're getting inquiries through different emails. Like I have my personal email, my assistant has another personal email, and then you send some emails to Dr. Imad. So there's a duplication of requests and things are getting all over the place. And we need to make those procedures standard so that we can streamline those applications, okay? I hope you guys understand that we're doing our best here to expedite the process to the best of our abilities. Also note that a question and answer follow-up session will be scheduled soon, and Dr. Imad will contact you, letting you know when we're going to have the Q&A. For now, what you can do, you can write down your questions, because I know that you guys are going to have a lot of questions after this video. Keep them to yourself for now. When we have the Q&A, I'm not sure if we're going to be doing live, or can we do it live?
Yeah. We're going to do it live, I prefer.
Okay, so that's even better. If we do it live, then, you guys can ask me questions directly. I'll be answering questions like one after the other. Just keep the notes to yourself. Let's work on those documents that need to be improved, that need to be perfected, so that we can start, getting those applications out.
I have a question here. What exactly the main reasons which make applications get refused?
Main reasons is lack of financial resources, proof of funds. The second main reason is lack of ties to home country. You don't have significant ties to your home country, or your ties to Canada are stronger than the ties that you have back home. And there's another explanation that they'll say, we believe you are not going to comply with the terms of your TRV, and that you're not going to go back to your home country. So there are many factors that they assess, they evaluate to come to these conclusions. Your travel history, your age, previous refusals. Okay, so even if you had refusals for the United States, for Australia, previous refusals, those applications are a bit more complicated. I'm not saying they are impossible, but I have to be much more careful navigating this terrain, because I have to initially explain why and sort of like overcome the flaws of a previous application. So maybe something that wasn't explained, I have to refer back to that application and say, well, the applicant didn't explain this, this, and that, and now we're clarifying, letting you guys know that he will go back. And he does have financial resources. Not impossible, again,
Okay.
but it takes more effort on our end.
Yeah, I understand. Okay, so I will publish this video, and we can later on make an appointment for going live to answer questions. I hope people can understand, because the video is so long. I don't have time to put subtitle. The subtitle is taking a long time to set up. So I don't know if you have done this before. Have you ever put a subtitle? I have done this, yeah, because maybe if you are publishing something, but you don't, I do. Okay.
I don't.
Yeah.
What I can do, I'm going to make available all of the templates on the shared Google Drive folder, and I will also make this PowerPoint presentation available.
Okay.
Even if you don't understand what I'm saying right now, you can go back to my presentation and you can read it in your own pace, and you can digest it. I think it's easier because you have like a written document there, right? So next time when we have questions, you can refer back to my PowerPoint presentation if this is too much, because I tend to throw a lot of information all at once and people get overwhelmed.
Okay, I will try to make another video to summarize the whole presentation. No, because the presentation was long and it was in full English, I will try to summarize it in Arabic, just to give the most important points, and so they will have both the summary in Arabic and the full video in English, and then we will make an appointment